What in the world is going on at SHR, Stewart Haas Racing? And that is what we are going to try and dissect today as we take a look at all of the rumors swirling around Stewart Haas Racing and what could potentially be happening for the rest of 2024 and heading into the 2025 NASCAR season. Now, if you're not too familiar with Stewart Haas Racing, you have to remember that Stewart Haas Racing started as Haas CNC Racing in 2002, and team owner Gene Haas gave Tony Stewart half of the team in 2009 for him to come drive and help operate the organization. As SHR Racing, they won the championship in 2011 with Tony Stewart and 2014 with Kevin Harvick. The team has an overall 69 wins in the NASCAR Cup Series, but the last one coming in 2022 with Kevin Harvick. None in 2023, and so far none in 2024. However, SHR seems to be in a transition year where it lost major sponsors. So it lost its first major sponsor with Smithfield when Eric Almirola decided to semi-retire. He is now part-time racing in the Xfinity Series, and it lost Busch Light, another major sponsor, when Kevin Harvick decided to hang up his helmet at the end of the 2023 season. Its deal with the Ford Motor Company for support also ends after this season, and there has been no announcement of any renewal of what their plans are with manufacturer or potential sponsors replacing those big losses for the 2025 season. So the first major rumor to address would be the rumor of SHR closing its doors and selling off all 4 of its charters to other teams. Front Row Motorsports, Trackhouse Racing, and 23XI Racing are the teams that are most often mentioned in the industry as the ones most likely to acquire a charter. Trackhouse needs charters as it has 4 drivers currently. Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez are their 2 Cup drivers. Zane Smith technically has a contract with Trackhouse, but is on loan to Spire Motorsports to fill in a seat for them. And they also have Shane Van Gisbergen in the Xfinity Series, who has admirations of driving in Cup next year. Front Row Motorsports would be willing to buy a charter or 2 to expand their operations, as would be 23XI. The only problem with Front Row Motorsports acquiring a charter is that they currently don't have the room to run a 3-car team and their truck program out of their current facility, according to their general manager, Jerry Freese. Now, it is possible that Front Row could acquire some of the SHR employees along with some space for rent and run a 3rd Cup car out of the SHR stable from their facility, but that's unlikely. However, Jerry Freese does say it's not a done deal. If there is an opportunity there, we'd like to do it. So there is talk of that potentially happening. Another potential rumor is that SHR only sells off 2 of their charters and downsizes to a 2-car team, which would be feasible and would be able to keep them in the Cup Series. However, that leaves a long list of drivers with potential issues moving into the 2025 season. What drivers do they keep? What drivers do they get rid of? What drivers do they promote? Josh Berry is in his first year as an SHR driver, and it is his first year of a 2-year deal with the team. He is number 1 in the Rookie of the Year standings. Chase Briscoe is on option for next year, but has not been any indication from SHR whether or not they would be retaining him. He's also 14th in points currently this year, which is the best any of the SHR drivers have done. However, Noah Gragson just got the fan vote over this past weekend for the All-Star race, and he is the only SHR driver to have made it into the All-Star race. Ryan Preece currently sits 28th in points, but would be sitting higher if it wasn't for a 35-point penalty that he got earlier in the year. So which drivers do you get rid of? Plus, they have a 2-car program in Xfinity, one driven by Cole Custer, the other by Riley Herbst. Me personally, I would dump Hurst. And that's just my personal opinion. Amongst those driver rumors, though, Chase Briscoe has been rumored now to be replacing Harrison Burton in the number 21 Wood Brothers team. Now, nothing about this has been solidified, and it is all just fan talk right now, but it could be a very real possibility. Chase Briscoe is a Ford driver first before he is an SHR driver. That being said, Wood Brothers is Ford-driven and is an affiliate of Penske Racing. Harrison Burton is in his third year with Wood Brothers with little to no success. And that is probably not primarily because of Harrison, but the Wood Brothers don't think they're quite up to snuff as far as the rest of the Penske crew. That being said, if Harrison Burton was out of a ride, it would be an easy fix for Chase Briscoe to be put into the 21, and I think it would benefit Chase, Penske, and the Wood Brothers in the long run. Another rumor to coincide with SHR dropping from 4 cars to 2 cars is the potential of Honda Performance Development joining NASCAR in 2026, with Stewart Haas Racing being the flagship team in which Honda would run their NASCAR. Back in February, Marshall Pruitt from Racer.com dropped a little nugget and quoted, "If you're a Honda fan and you like NASCAR, you're probably going to be really happy here in the future," Pruitt said. Now, NASCAR has been looking to add a 4th manufacturer along Chevy, Ford, and Toyota ever since Dodge left years ago, and Dodge being one of the ones that they were trying to bring back. The sport has been in talks with Dodge and Honda in the past, but nothing ever came to fruition. Another thing to coincide with Honda coming to NASCAR is that back in Richmond, NASCAR had Joe Gibbs Racing put an axle torque sensor on Martin Truex's car. Now, this is to measure torque output, horsepower, torque band, RPM, all kinds of innovative stuff that NASCAR says it was using to help engine development and engine costs. However, this could also be used to determine and regulate parity for different manufacturer if they decide to come into the sport with a different engine. Coincidentally, torque sensors are used on IMSA sports cars. If you're not familiar with IMSA, that is the International Motorsports Association. They run 24 hours of Daytona and 12 hours of Sebring and other coinciding races. IMSA is under the banner of NASCAR. And IMSA, in its top tier series, the prototypes, the GTP, they have a variety of engines from Porsche, Cadillac, Honda, and so forth. They all use torque sensors to help parity what they call the balance of power. Each different engine might work a little bit differently, but make similar horsepowers to keep the lap times as close as possible between the top tier cars. Now, that being said, all of the NASCAR teams currently use a basis for their V8 engines. They must be 358 cubic inches. They must have a pushrod valve train. However, Ford, Chevy, and Toyota all make actual V8 engines for their production vehicles in real life. Honda, on the other hand, does not. So it wouldn't be in Honda's interest to make a V8 engine for a race car and not sell a V8 engine on the market. So we could see Honda come to NASCAR with a different type of engine, possibly a V6. Would it be turbocharged? Would it be a dual overhead cam? Would it be a pushrod? Hard to say, but I think these are things that NASCAR is looking into in order to try and get Honda to come aboard. Honda does currently make a V6 engine for the NTT IndyCar series, where they currently run a 2.2-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine making 750 horsepower. Also for IndyCar, Chevy coincidentally makes a 2.2-liter V6 as well, single turbocharged. Ironically, the Chevys make more horsepower, and the Hondas make better fuel mileage. And this is something that we could see coming to NASCAR if the rumors are true. Whatever the case may be, one thing is for certain, and that nothing is certain. According to all of the SHR executives, crew members, drivers, Cup teams, Xfinity teams, nobody seems to have any idea on what their future may hold. And therein lies the problem. Tony Stewart and Gene Haas have said nothing to nobody, and they are off both gallivanting around doing other things. Tony Stewart currently runs full-time in the NHR Drag Racing Series with his own Top Fuel team. Meanwhile, Gene Haas is off running around the world with the Haas Formula One team, trying to fight for a Formula One championship, uncompetitively, I might add. And therein lies the problem. Tony Stewart and Gene Haas are doing everything but running SHR. And until they do, they're going to continue to falter, and the rumors are going to continue to swirl. So stay tuned as we will follow these stories and more as the season goes on, because Lord knows the silly season is going to be wacky, and it's all going to venture around Stewart Haas Racing.